Hi all, I'm Venu Mallarapu, VP for Global Strategy and Operations here at eClinical Solutions. And I'm happy to bring this innovation series to you as your host. We are seeing a lot of challenges in the industry as it relates to life sciences and bringing some of the treatments faster to patients. Be it use of technology in terms of sensors, wearables, in the context of decentralized clinical trials, or increasing complexity with the diverse data sources that are being available, and the complexity in terms of crunching more data to get to insights faster, or the perennial challenges in terms of being able to increase the recruitment for clinical research and reducing the cycle time, so on and so forth. And a lot of innovations are happening across the industry, and so is the case with eClinical Solutions as well. In order to share some of these innovations that are happening within eClinical Solutions, as well as discuss about some of these happening across the industry with some of the experts in-house here within eClinical Solutions. We are launching this innovation series of video podcasts. And as our first guest here today, I have Sandy Ng, our VP for Data Sciences. She's doing some cool stuff as it relates to our Illuminate platform. She has a fantastic background and pedigree of working in data sciences. I'm excited to talk to her about AI, ML, and use of machine learning and such in the context of clinical data and analytics. So welcome on board, Sandy. If you can, briefly tell our listeners and viewers about your background and about your role as VP of Data Sciences at eClinical Solutions.
Thank you, Venu. I'm really happy to be here. So my background is in engineering. I started off my career as a biomedical engineer working in the medical device industry, working on algorithm development and machine learning for sensors in medical devices. From there, I transitioned into the healthcare payer provider space, and then most recently into the clinical trial space. So for example, I have worked on building prognostic models for prediction of disease progression. And then most recently in clinical trials, I have worked on building sensors and using sensors and sensor data for DCTs, decentralized clinical trials. So I have been in eClinical Solutions for a little bit less than a year. Here at this company, my focus is really on driving product innovation using AI, ML-enabled technologies to identify the opportunities that are available to solve the pain points that we're seeing in our customers and our clients, and to make the clinical trial process easier and faster. So I lead a team of data scientists and machine learning engineers in AI, ML development and deployment. Mm-hmm. We validate hypotheses, we test new features, we measure performance, with the goal of really trying to ensure that our products are continually evolving and that they truly address our client needs.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Thanks for being here. As I said in the intro, artificial intelligence and machine learning is permeating across all industries, across all walks of life. And legislation is being talked about to contain the use so as it not getting to super intelligence and being harmful to mankind and so on and so forth. So given that context, why is it relevant in the in clinical data and analytics? Can you throw some light on it?
Sure. I like to think of AI ML techniques as a diverse set of tools in a toolbox. It's not the only tools, but they augment the other tools that we have available. And they provide us a wider range of options to work with to help solve the various challenges that our clients face. So I think we can leverage AI/ML techniques strategically to solve the complex problems. And in general, AI/ML is good for tasks like automating tasks that are repetitive and manual, like data checks that our clients often have to perform, and also for tasks that are more challenging for humans to perform, like looking through a large data set and identifying any discrepancies in the data. So some examples of the problems that the AI/ML techniques are suited for are include perhaps uncovering underlying patterns in complex data. We can do this by mining historical data. They might be challenging for humans to do. Other examples are anomaly detection to identify unusual patterns in the data or perhaps outliers in the data, and using NLP, natural language processing, to extract relevant information from text documents.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I think, especially when it comes to data, by the sheer volume and size of it, we could use all the help that we can get from technology to crunch these numbers and get to the outcomes that we want to, and even more so in life sciences and in clinical research, given the amounts of historical data that we have. Anecdotally, I think we've been saying this for last decade, if not longer, that probably cure for a lot of cancers is already there. We just haven't discovered it yet in all the data that's available to us. So from that standpoint, I think what you mentioned or what you said makes a lot of sense on how we can leverage that in the context of clinical data and analytics. So I appreciate that. And when you think of AI/ML, what problem or use case you choose to solve using it is very, very important because it's time consuming, it costs a lot of money, and you need to throw a lot of resources at not only identifying the right models, but also training them and validating them to make sure that the predictions are efficient and they perform at an optimistic level where you can truly rely on them, even more so in life sciences industry, given the regulated nature of the industry across the board. So it would be great if you can share some of the problems or use cases your team is solving for and embedding into eClinical Solutions Illuminate platform.
Sure. Our team actually spends a lot of time discussing what products to work on, what modules to work on. We confer with a lot of our internal subject matter experts and external subject matter experts to make sure that what we work on is impactful. So in terms of what we've already deployed in Illuminate, I'll just pick 3 examples. So these are use cases that are focused on data review automation, which is one area that we're really trying to focus on at eClinical. These data review automation problems will help us improve the data quality and the speed of the review. So the first example is the detection of abnormal changes in lab values and vital signs for a given patient. So we're looking at this as a time series lab or vital signs set of data. So for example, if we see a large increase in the lab value between visits, we would identify these. For example, if there is a large increase in the total bilirubin count. So these large changes can be indicative of either data entry errors and/or safety signals, and they may require additional review. So we will flag that for the user. The second use case is the detection of concomitant medication records that may have incorrect entries or for dose unit, for example, or dose route. So these unit or route might be recorded and they might be inconsistent with the rest of the data that's been recorded in the CM record. So we flag those using an ML model. And we also surface to the user what the ML model predicts as the actual correct unit or route to make it easier for the user. The third use case is the detection of univariate outliers in the data. So that is data points that are different from the majority of the other data in the given study. And again, these may be indicative of data entry errors, or they may be safety signals. And we flag that for the user so they can look through to do any additional review that's required.
Yeah, no, excellent. I think, if I were to comment on the 3 examples that you mentioned, I think this will have significant impact in terms of operational efficiencies for data managers in the first case. In the second case, being able to identify some of the signals and delivering on the promise of all treatments being efficacious and safe to be used in patients. And the third one is reducing a lot of load on analyzing the streams of data that's coming in, so that you're able to help the data analysts or reviewers to focus on those that have been identified by the model as anomalies or deviations from what you're used to seeing in those specific data sets. So excellent. Thanks for sharing that with us. When it comes to machine learning, the models you choose is very critical. And many at times we have seen data scientists use multiple frameworks, multiple models in parallel to see which of them perform better for a given problem or use case. And also using various techniques like supervised, unsupervised, so on and so forth. So what's your approach, and how are you solving these problems? Not only the examples that you mentioned earlier, but other problems that you're choosing to solve from a future standpoint.
Yeah, our team also spends a lot of time doing evaluating models. What's the most appropriate model for a given use case? And again, we really focus on identifying and solving what our clients' pain points are. We don't approach it as this is a solution waiting for a problem. It's the other way around. Yeah. And we spend a lot of time at the beginning of a project working very closely with SMEs to make sure that we are framing the problem correctly, that we're understanding what the issue is, that we're understanding the data before we even start trying to test out any models. But as far as the models that we work with, we work on both supervised and unsupervised models, and it depends on the use case. It depends on the particular data set that we have available. We spend a lot of time training on historical data when it's appropriate. And without giving away too much of the IP, some of the techniques that we work on that we've implemented so far include anomaly detectors and gradient boosted machines and natural language processing.
Perfect. Thank you. And data science is a challenging job, right? And finding the appropriate machine learning models and achieving the performance from these models that you want, it takes a lot of effort and it's hard work. And I'm sure there are many challenges that you and your team face day in, day out to hit your targets in terms of what you want to accomplish. So, it would be great for people to hear about maybe, if not top 3, at least 3 challenges that you think are significant that you and your team has overcome, and for people to watch out when setting out to on this journey to leverage machine learning for their own use cases and such.
Yeah, I think AI ML, I agree that it's both challenging, and I also think it's very rewarding. Yeah. So if I could pick 3 challenges to talk about, the first challenge would be in trying to truly understand what the use cases of value are. What should we work on? What would help our clients? Again, we spend a lot of time thinking through that with our internal subject matter experts. So luckily, we have these internal teams, our technical services teams and our biometrics teams, and we leverage their expertise frequently in this area. And we work closely with them to help identify what problems would be the most impactful that we can work on. Perhaps the second challenge would be getting to the data quality and the availability that we need to build out these models. So as I'm sure you know, AI/ML models require large quantities of high quality data for training and validation and testing.
Yeah.
And in addition, if we're working with supervised models, we also require labeled data.
Yeah.
So before we greenlight a project, before we start truly working on it, our team spends a lot of time doing exploratory analysis on the data to see if there are sufficient high quality data available that we can work with. We also work closely with a team of data review experts who help guide us and provide us with the labeled data that we need for the supervised learning models. The third challenge is resistance to adoption. This is relatively new, I think, in clinical trial space. So we really try to mitigate any resistance to adoption through clear communication, education. We demonstrate the tangible benefits of AI/ML adoption. And at least for now, we focus on the augmentation using AI/ML, not replacement.
Yeah, augmentation as in human in the loop, if you will, right? Another term that's predominantly used in the industry. And I also wanted to clarify in Sandy's answer a couple of things that she mentioned, which is very internal to eClinical Solutions. Biometric services, that's a service that eClinical Solution provides to our customers in terms of data acquisition, data management, biostats, SAS programming, and so on and so forth. So that is our own internal customer and trove of domain experts that Sandy has access to help her team in understanding the business process and also test out the outcomes. The technical services that Sandy mentioned is our professional services team that implements Illuminate to customers across the globe and gain tons of knowledge in implementing that as to what works, what doesn't work, and any business process challenges that the customers are experiencing despite leveraging Illuminate because there are certain manual aspects to the business process in itself that may not be fully automated. So I just thought I'll provide that clarification. So when you are speaking to existing as well as prospective clients of Illuminate, I know EIQ is a branding that is used in that context that combines all the automation and machine learning capabilities under that umbrella as a product that is being rolled out to existing as well as new customers. What's your message to kind of explain to them as to how this could be a big differentiator for them?
Sure. I would say, if I could put it succinctly, I would say that with EIQ Review, we're really focused on automating your workload to not only improve the data quality, but to speed the time spent in review, and all of that in order to get you to database lock faster.
Very simple and straightforward. We'll reduce your cycle times and we'll make your operational process more efficient. Right. Cool. Yeah. Thank you. We talked quite a bit about the models that you are working on, the models that you have already embedded, and the use cases. Give some examples of what you have already, the capabilities that you have already built in Illuminate. And people are always excited about the future. So any sneak peek that you can give on some of the things that you are working on that could definitely benefit Illuminate customers, but more broadly benefit the industry from bringing these to life to change how we deal with clinical data across the board.
Sure. Our team is really hard at work in bringing new AI ML functionality. So I'll just pick a couple of examples. We are rolling out additional functionality use cases for EIQ review. And again, that is our data review automation module.
Yeah.
So one example is the detection of appropriate concomitant medication indication pairs. So that is whether a conmed that's given for an indication is medically appropriate and flagging automatically those that we suspect are not appropriate. So another example is an upcoming use case is the identification of records that are similar to a record of interest. And we can do this according to a user-defined criteria. So for example, if a user sees a record that should be tagged as clinically significant, we can automatically bring up a list of the most similar records for them to review at the same time. We'll also be adding an algorithm to rank order our records from riskiest to least risky among all the records that we are flagged by AI models. So we're building out additional models, and we want a way to flag the riskiest records that the data reviewer should be reviewing first, and that is the rank ordering will allow us to do that.
Okay.
So in addition to these data review automations that I just talked about, we are also hard at work in adding AI augmented data classification and mapping. So for AI augmented data classification, this is our first use case is on building visualizations using a common data model or a common vocabulary so that users can build visualizations using that common vocabulary and without having to know that much information about what their source field names are, which can vary from study to study.
Yeah.
So for this project, we are working with NLP technology to automatically match the source fields to the common vocabulary that the users will be working with. And then for AI augmented mapping, we are leveraging existing mapping specifications to automatically generate transformations without doing any manual coding.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Quite exciting stuff that is in the pipeline, and look forward to seeing that in action in EIQ on Illuminate platform. So we've almost come to an end, and I just wanted to hear from you if you were to pitch AI ML to skeptics within clinical data and analytics, what would that be?
I think to me, the elevator pitch would be by leveraging the power of AI and ML, we can unlock valuable insights from vast patient data sets. Yeah. We can enable early disease detection, precision medicine, and predictive healthcare trends, and really improve the efficiency and the quality of clinical research.
Great, great. I would be bought into it after listening to that. So thank you so much, Sandy. I really appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule and agreeing to talk to me and providing answers to some of the questions that many of our listeners might have and don't have the right people to talk to. So appreciate you joining me today. And thank you all for listening into this and watching this video podcast. As part of the innovation series, as mentioned up front, I'll be bringing in more experts from within eClinical Solutions, and we'll be covering wide-ranging topics from how clinical data management is transforming into clinical data science. Sandy touched upon one of the use cases, which is how do we do AI augmented mapping and automate specification generation or no-code data mapping, and so on and so forth. So please stay tuned. And also, I would encourage you to register for the upcoming podcast and possibly the series so that you are informed of when this will be available as I speak to more experts from within eClinical Solutions. Thank you all for your time, and have a nice day.